Hi David, how are you?
Good. How are you today, Annette?
Excellent. Wonderful to see you.
You as well.
I'd love for us to talk a little bit today about microcurrent. So for people that aren't really familiar with microcurrent, what would you say are our unique differences that set us apart from, the sea of different machines that are out there? What would you say are some of the key things that we do that, is that different to other brands?
Yeah, I think that when we talk a bit about history and about our focuses and the different applications for microcurrent, I think one thing that we can put right front and center is just the history, just the length of time that we've been doing what we've been doing, and I think that really speaks for itself. I think that there's levels of mastery that you can achieve in anything that you do in this life, in this world, and I think the more that you are passionate and the more time dedication, you just become better and better at it. And I think that we're one of the oldest, longest standing manufacturers of microcurrent really in the world. So that being said, we have a ton of history and mastery and experience under our belt. So that would be one. Two, I think we're very deliberate and very specific in regards to the types of technology that we manufacture. We do have medical equipment, but that's for medical practitioners. Our skincare equipment, when it comes to microcurrent, is the Bio-Ultimate Platinum and the BT Nano, and those are specifically intended for aesthetic purposes, for skin therapists, for applicable practitioners all over the world. And so I think that that's very key too, because I think a lot of the technologies that you see out there in the world today, a lot of fantastic stuff, but there are a real broad spectrum of different kinds of applications, claims, and intended uses and things like that. So we're very clear about that because it's very important that we as skin therapists are accessing technology and or products that meet the description of our licensures. We want to make sure that we're going to be offering services with technology that are okay for us to use, that are applicable for us to use, and also services that we're licensed to carry out. I think in addition to that, if you look at regulatory, if you look at compliance, and I think that we're really entering into more and more cognizant activity when it comes to compliance and regulatory requirements and things like that, basically worldwide. Before it was mostly US focused, now it's a big subject on a worldwide focus, and we have all of our compliance standards completely intact. We have our ISO 9001 as a manufacturer, our ISO 13485, which means that we meet the highest quality standards on a worldwide basis. We are an FDA medical device manufacturer because we manufacture medical devices, so comply with all those standards. And then everything that we manufacture and bring to market, products, accessories, technology, are all CE safety tested. So that means that we send them out to a third-party testing organization to make sure that they're going to be durable, that they're efficacious, that the instructions match the function of the technology, that all the compatibility testing is done, all the user testing is done, and that you're really going to get the best value for what you're investing in as a consumer, as a skincare professional or a medical professional, when you're looking at a company that meets all those fantastic high quality compliance standards. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I could go on for an hour in regards to all the differences, but those I think are the first things that come to mind.
Yeah, and I think, as a skin therapist and somebody that used to be a spa director, it's, you sometimes fall in love with the way that things look, or the before and afters, or you're seeing what your colleagues are possibly purchasing, but these are the fundamental things that actually are very, very important to you. You want to ensure that you're working safely. You want to ensure that you have the backup of a really well-established company, that the company has done all the due diligence that they need to do on all of the standards and all of the safety. And I think sometimes as skin therapists, we fall in love with the glitz and the glamour and what celebrities, and we're not doing our due diligence on looking at some of these areas that are a little maybe less sexy, but are still very, very important, right?
Absolutely, and I do think that those are some of the key things that you need to look at just to even qualify
Right.
a supplier or a manufacturer before you even start looking at some of the other details. Short of that, hopefully they do have great before and after pictures. Hopefully they do have great efficacy studies. You want to make sure that they're strong with their marketing support for you as a skin therapist, and probably as importantly as the equipment and everything else, and maybe the most important thing is you want to make sure they have education support, and that they have comprehensive education, not just a quick introductory to it when you make the purchase, but ongoing education, so you're constantly being able to evolve with that technology as you evolve as a skin therapist or a practitioner, because each time you do a service, you can become better, you have more curiosity, you have evolution as a person, and so you really need to be able to actually have an education consistent program that you can reconcile with as often as you need to, as often as you have the opportunity to, so you can continue to grow. And that's something that we feel is extremely important for everybody who becomes a biotherapeutic customer.
Yeah, for sure. And when I was obviously with Dermalogica, the International Derm Institute, when we were selecting microcurrent machines and looking at it and investigating it and trying to learn about it, hands down, Bio-Therapeutic, you were the only person that really could explain the science in such a way to us. And it completely blew us out of the water, because we had no idea that microcurrent did more than, muscle re-education. We didn't know that it did more for the skin, and the really in-depth way in which it increases ATP. And when we started looking into Suzuki sequencing and the science that went into how Bio-Therapeutic was designing the microcurrent, there was no one else in the industry that had anything even close to the types of technology that you were looking at and how you were designing it. So I think that's something that many skin therapists and owners don't understand. It's like, it's not just an electrical current going into the skin and doing something and leaving. There's so much more to it. So tell us a little bit about Suzuki sequencing and wavelength and ATP.
Sure. So a lot there, but just to kind of unpack it piece by piece. So if we think about the microcurrent applications, the intended use is for aesthetic purposes to stimulate the face. So that's our claims, that's what we can market as skin therapists and applicable practitioners. But if you look to the mechanism of action, how does it stimulate the face, and how does it stimulate the face for aesthetic purposes to make us look better? So a few things that happen with microcurrent, if you use the right frequencies and you use a low enough amount of energy, you have the capability of helping the mitochondria create a higher level of stimulation. The mitochondria, as we know, are located in the cell. Mitochondria are representative and responsible. Their sole responsibility is to create energy, cellular energy, in the form of adenosine triphosphate, or what we call ATP. And if you can increase your levels of ATP to a much higher value, and our technology has been proven in clinical studies to be able to actually increase those values by as much as 500%. All of a sudden your body, your skin, the way that you feel, the way that you function, the way that you operate, all of a sudden starts to happen much more effectively. And so more energy equals a better body, a better mind, a better soul, so to speak, kind of a thing. One of the reasons why microcurrent has been so successful in medical applications and rehabilitation, in wound healing and pain control, is because of those same sorts of philosophy. So being able to stimulate the mitochondria and really basing skincare around mitochondrial well-being, even foods that we eat, supplements that we take, and things like that, is a very, very strong strategy and should be kind of at the core. And that's really what our microcurrent is all about. When it comes to different frequencies or energy, a lot of times when people say, oh, it's microcurrent or it's electrical stimulation or whatnot, it's seen as an energy, and that's usually as far as most people sort of care to think about it, but it's really a lot more than that. So the energy that emits from a technology, at least ours, is going to have a wave shape, it's going to have a microamperage, and it's going to have a frequency. And those three components are blended together, and we have literally thousands of different combinations of wave shapes, frequency, and microcurrent that we have studied over the years that have been most successful to create the kind of skin management results that we're able to achieve with our Bio-Ultimate Platinum MBT Nano. And so that's not just a loose, off-the-cuff idea of wave shape and frequency. It's years and years and years of studies and research and anecdotal information, feedback from the field, our own in-house testing, our own individual experiences with it, and things like that, to continue to refine this. So when we talk about microcurrent as a technology, it's much more than just low level of electrical current, so much more than that. And I think that when you think about how do you gain this information, again, it goes back to history and the length of time that we do this. And for that being said, we should really be good at it because we've been doing it since 1974. So we should have a lot of that experience under our belt, and we do, and we bring that to the table. And that really, without going too much further in depth, is a huge difference of why our equipment is so effective and so efficient and creates the kind of results, whereas other equipment that you see in some cases just doesn't have it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing today, David. So much fantastic things to think about. And, I think that obviously it's very obvious to everybody as to whether you're making a choice about microcurrent, whether you're looking at different equipment for your business, that we're here as a support, and we're here to be able to help you, work through all of those options. So,
yeah, for sure.
Great. Perfect. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.